Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello everyone, welcome to Reganelite's Watch Along episode 84, where we watch and react to certain clips and videos online, preferably from the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Guys, we're going to be diving into a very serious event that has just happened in the last few hours in Minnesota. I will come to an absolute terrible tragedy, the one that could potentially escalate things more than ever before inside the United States of America. Most of this live stream is pretty much going to be all around centralized around America, guys. This live stream in particular, I don't really have too much on the UK today, so that is where our subject of discussion is going to be. And if you've seen from the first in the description, you will see why the first story is one of the most horrifying ones indeed here. I just want to say good evening to those who are in chat. Robert, good morning to you. Good evening to you. Hope you are doing well. Sorry, I'm so used to morning live streams. Jao, good evening, one of our moderators. Do check out his YouTube channel as well. He's does some great stuff on there. Weebud, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Counter Kev, good to see you there as well. Ellie, good evening to you there as well. Leapskin, good evening. Stephen Banker, good evening to you. Anybody else who's lurking in the chats, hope you guys are all doing well. Just again, a quick reminder, if you guys want to financially support me while I'm still in this situation, links for both Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon are in the description as well. We may go about an hour and a half max, something like that as well. And a final reminder, tomorrow evening, guys, myself and Van Man talks with a live stream together, so do join us for that as well. Right, let's get straight into it, guys, because don't know how to quite put this, but basically, yeah, an ICE agent has murdered what appears, well, as far as I'm aware, it's an American citizen, not an immigrant, as far as I'm aware, an American citizen. So I'm going to show you some footage. You're not going to see the actual footage, but you are going to hear gunshots. You are going to hear gunshots, and I'm going to pause the moment where the officer, and you'll see from where his hand with the handgun in his hand of when he hears. So just brace yourself, chat, for this, okay? So, new video captures the ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Homeland Security claimed a woman was shot dead by ICE after trying to run over officers during an operation. This was the claim here.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood!
Pay attention to the red car.
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Dude, you did a murder for what?
So yes, what you just saw there was an ICE officer shooting an unarmed, allegedly, I don't know the victim, and allegedly an American citizen inside the car. And if I just scroll back, you can see the moment before the person tries to run off and crash. You can see the officer there with the handgun there. We know ICE were getting out of control. We know their tactics were really dangerous. We know that some of the things that they have been doing have been horrible and horrific. But my good God Almighty, all I can say is God have mercy on the United States and what this escalation is going to do. It's just absolutely horrible. The person has died from this as well, because the woman was literally shot in the face. They tried to save her. when the ETAs arrived and took her away. They couldn't, guys. And there are rules of engagement and whatnot, and it just feels like to me ICE are just lawless, mindless thugs. Now, a picture of the perpetrator has been circulating online, so this is not somebody who was completely masked up. He was half masked, so his face and image is seen. But it's pretty tough to take. I'm surprised chat has not responded to what I just shared there. I'm quite surprised. I don't know if it's chat has been slow or you guys don't really have a reaction to it. Good evening, user. Good evening, Pork. Martin there. Doc Davis. And person impersonator there. It's back to the Wild Wild West. Yeah. It's just absolutely brutal. Here's more reaction from people literally there, and they're telling the police what they did. They're literally telling the police what they did, and it's just, it's just shocking.
Yeah, I know, man. I get why you guys are mad. Well, do something. We're out here doing something. Don't talk about Officer fucking reasonable. Officer reasonable. If you can just get back to 33rd.
Jesus Christ.
Stay back behind the line.
Flying by me, so I'm like, something's happening over here, so.
And what did you
I'm
see
just
exactly
shaking.
yourself?
I didn't witness, but I talked to several people that witnessed it, and they heard the gunshot. And the one guy said that they reached for her door handle, and then she took off, and then he shot her through the windshield, and shot her in the face. So they're taking her on the corner there by ambulance right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here with me.
I believe it's Christine Olm has defended this, saying that the driver was deliberately in the way and that they acted in self-defense, which is 100% fucking bullshit, because there is footage from different angles of the officers doing what they did. You literally saw footage there. You didn't see directly the footage of her being shot at, but you saw enough in that footage to know that that person was not a threat to ICE in any way, shape or form. Was not. And you could hear what was said in that video as well. And there are hundreds of different angles of it. And you have the Trump administration, this fucking vile, disgusting Trump administration, trying to defend the officers responsible for this. Trying to defend them. And what's so infuriating, is that there's not going to be, as far as I'm aware, there's not going to be any accountability to this ICE officer. None at all. Even though the officer, the ICE officer who did this, knows that they murdered an innocent person. Regardless of whether that person, and I'm presuming that's an innocent American citizen, right? Regardless, right? You shot and killed an innocent person in their car. An ICE officer. Before I take you to the next, I just want to share the reaction from the Minneapolis mayor on this, guys.
Was the notion that ICE agents would be necessary to create a perimeter around the scene itself. They themselves were creating the kind of dysfunction and chaos that they claimed to be trying to help with. And so the message that we delivered very clearly was to make them leave. Now, beyond leaving the scene, they should also leave our city and our state. You know, we do work, our chief does work, our sheriff does work every single day to keep people safe in our city and in our state. And crime is dramatically down. Crime is down. It continues to trend down. They are doing the hard work of investigating, of arresting perpetrators of violent crime. What this federal administration is doing right now is not about creating safety. Do not let them tell you that what they are doing is about creating safety. It is not. It is having the opposite impact. We need to be clear-eyed about the work that is moving forward, and they need to leave Minneapolis.
We have time for one or two more questions.
Mayor, you may know.
Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara on the ice shooting in the vehicle.
It's obviously very concerning whenever there's a shooting into a vehicle of someone who's not armed, but it also is something that is possible. At times it is justified, but it is very concerning, and it's something that most law enforcement agencies in the country train very intensely to try and minimize the risk that law enforcement officers get placed into a situation that the need for deadly force would be necessary.
They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
And this is where he tells ICE to get the fuck out of Minneapolis. Yes, he actually said those words, guys.
Better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave.
What really angers me about this is when innocent people are caught up in this, and innocent people's lives are lost because of stuff like this. This is what really triggers me more than anything. And I am so scared of this kind of thing happening in the UK when you see the kind of things that Reform Russia continue to talk about, continue to what they want, to copy and paste a lot of things that America are doing right now. And it is incredibly scary to quantify and to think about what is happening. And I really want to say that just because it's happening here doesn't mean it can't happen anywhere else. I think, you know, this Trump administration we already knew it was at low levels, and 2026 feels like that it has started off with the intention of cranking up the hatred, cranking up the rhetoric, cranking up the violence, cranking up the dissension, the hatred, more than ever before this year. That's what it feels like. It feels like 2026, they intend to crank it all up tenfold. That's what it feels like to me. And from America's point of view, in terms of a political point of view, the Democrats are too fucking spineless to call out enough of this. The fact that it took a shooting for the mayor to come out with the language that he needed to come out with. We need more language like this from the Democrats, because it needs to be said and not just softball answers. And we need to see this stronger tone from when it comes to British politicians, and not just from Democrats, because their country, what they stand for, what they believe for, is being ripped apart before their very eyes here. It's being ripped apart before their very eyes. Yeah. You can literally see here, right there, with the gun. The Department of Homeland Security said the officer acted in self-defense. Yeah. 3 video angles of the Minneapolis showing, all slowed down and zoomed in. And we've seen that last one already. I don't have any more information to add on this story that I haven't already shared with you. But I want to start by saying my deepest condolences to the friends and families of the victim, to the community, to everyone in Minneapolis who is going to grieve and mourn the loss of this innocent victim. That they are going to be going through a very, very rough time right now. I would like to think that ICE will get the fuck out of Minnesota, Minneapolis. I really hope so, for the sake of the people, because someone died that didn't need to die, and too many times we have these instances happening. Yeah. Are you okay, Indie Duck? What's wrong? I'm quite used to people not liking me, but YouTube was new. We all like you here, Indie Duck. You're all right. Don't worry. Self-defense? How? There was no self-defense, but that's what they're claiming. That's what they're claiming. Andy, Pete's Music. Good to see you both. Hope you guys are doing well. The Second Amendment seems to have gone into memory holes. There is no Second Amendment. The rules and regulations are becoming more and more relevant every single passing day in the United States. It's to stop a tyrannical government. They get one, and they forgot to use it. It'd be a shame if someone's agent were to scuttle a ship in the Panama Canal. Yeah. Hi all, bye all. This is too depressing. Close to my bedtime. Trying to avoid nightmares. Take care. No worries, Kirsty. I wanted to get this out the way. This story out the way first and foremost, because I knew it would be very depressing to talk about. Wow, use an F-bomb. Wow, really, that's quite something. Yep. Yeah, he did. Yeah, terrorize. Exactly, terrorism. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe a general strike would work. I don't think general strikes are really working. I don't know if that would work. The last time America did a really big protest was the George Floyd, wasn't it? That was the last big protest the nation did. They need to do something bigger than that. I don't know if they can. If there's. I don't know if there's enough will of Americans to do that. There's already people online trying to justify what they did as well. There's already people online trying to justify justify it as well, guys. But I just my heart bleeds right now for them. It really, really does. So I want to switch to Venezuela and what's been happening there, guys. I want to actually start with this piece here from Adam Media here, which I thought was quite fascinating here. So his claim is that Trump's move on Venezuela was obviously for Israel. And he's got a couple of pieces of here's why he thinks they are. So he says, number one, Venezuela formally cut all diplomatic ties with Israel. Number 2, Venezuela is one of the few countries with a without a Rothschild, that's founders of Israel's central banking structure, and had banned usury. The literal Rothschilds are publicly celebrating this operation. Israel's president and Israeli military have repeatedly declared Venezuela is its top enemy outside of Iran. Number 5, Israel has openly declared they need Venezuela back under their influence and plan to get it back. Number 6, a documentary capturing a conversation with Israeli president referencing plans for Venezuela that could not be discussed on camera. Number 7, Venezuela's leadership themselves have explicitly blamed Israel. Their oil is barely profitable. Venezuela's crude is low quality, extremely costly to process, and barely profitable. This was not a financial decision. Unfollow anyone acting like America is now $17 trillion richer. I still think, it's this one I keep hearing mixed messages on. I keep hearing a lot of people saying they're going to make them rich. I hear a lot of complex, different answers on there. It's hard for me to pinpoint whether or not, hard for me to pinpoint on that. Donald Trump has confirmed China and BRICS states will not be blocked. Will not be blocked from purchasing the oil, ruling out economic containment as the motive. That's interesting. I'm not sure about that one. Number 10, it was right after Netanyahu's visit and immediately followed by Israel telling Iran its next end soon. Remember, it was just a few days before that Saturday that Netanyahu was in Washington. He was in Washington. I think that's an important point to make as well. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Come back. Number 11, taking Venezuela's oil helps somewhat offset Iran's threat to close the Strait of Hormuz. Number 10, the judge over the Morado trial will be an Israeli Jewish Zionist who literally helped cover the 9/11. Number 13, the groomed replacement is an ultra-Zionist who wrote a letter to Netanyahu asking Israel to invade Venezuela and promised to immediately move the embassy to Jerusalem. Is the judge who's presiding over the case? She's a very old lady. Is that person really that? I don't know. If someone wants to confirm that for me in the chat, I'd be greatly appreciated. Number 14, immediately after the operation, Zionist pro-Israeli influencers flooded social media with AI-generated recycled old videos falsely presented as celebrations in Venezuela. Not a single clip was authentic. The rollout was coordinated, synchronized, and algorithmically boosted, ranking up hundreds of millions of views and millions of likes in hours. A textbook possession management op. Genuine videos show outrage inside Venezuela. Number 14, Israeli billionaires are directly profiting like Paul Singhers, who is currently part of a small group of Israelis spending millions in to unseat Thomas Massie, whose Zionist firm stands to gain billions from this move and entrench themselves into Venezuela. I'm sure more will come out in the following days, weeks, and months, and it will only become more obvious. And then the hate you get for exposing this will turn into science and suppression. It's like this every time. We've got a couple of different pictures here. About those 300 billion barrels, there is real involvement. One of them is the picture below, is what it looks like. The time and expenses required to turn this stuff into useful products are enormous and not profitable at the current rate. Yeah, that doesn't look like very profitable oil there. Yeah, that looks like something else. I'm sure you guys can guess what that is there. Will you restore diplomatic relations with Israel and establish a Venezuelan embassy located in Jerusalem, as President Donald Trump did? Certainly, I don't know who's saying this. Certainly, Venezuela will be Israel's closest ally in Latin America. We rely on Israel's support in dismantling Marado's crime regime and in the transition to democracy. Together, we will lead a global struggle against crime and terror. The Venezuelan people deeply admire Israel and will always defend its right to live in peace without threat to its existence. This is what they're claiming. This is from the Israel Hamon here. It says, what is your opinion on the regime ties with Iran and Russia? Iran and Russia are truly the foreign factors interfering in Venezuela's affairs, and this has been the situation in recent decades. Iranian Revolutionary Guards operate in our Air Force bases, training soldiers and producing and using drones, turning Venezuela into the only Latin American country manufacturing Iranian armed drones. I don't know how true that is. Under the Morado regime protection, Tehran expands its terror networks and launders money across the region for terror organizations like Hezbollah. With Morado's permission, the Iranian regime penetrated Venezuela's military and security forces. As for Russia, it remains the main weapons supplier to Venezuela's authoritarian regime. Russians supplied the regime with fighter jets and air defense systems, and even launched a Kalashnikov factory in Venezuela for ammunition production. In return, they received oil. Since Hugo Chavez's rise to power, Venezuela has become one of the most hostile countries to Israel and Zionism in Latin America. Chavez, who saw himself as Fidel Castro's ideological heir, and an ally of other leftist regimes, severed diplomatic relations with Israel during Operation Cast Lead in 2009, accused Israel of genocide against the Palestinian people, and compared its politics to Nazi conduct. He hosted delegations from Hamas and Hezbollah in Caracas and opened the country's doors to Iranian intelligence and military activity. His successor continued the anti-Israeli line with even more intensity. Thus, Venezuela, which previously maintained warm relationships with Israel and even purchased security technologies from it, became a center of hostile propaganda towards Zionism and the Jewish state, as part of his aspirations to define itself as a spearhead of the anti-Western and anti-American camp. Unlike the terror-loving dictator facing her, Maduro promises to change her country's attitude towards Israel from one extreme to another, and doesn't hide her sympathies towards us. In recent years, she spoke about her intention to establish Venezuela's embassy location in Jerusalem, and stood with the Jewish state after the October 7th massacre, while Maduro supported Hamas. And this is in 2000. There were 9 countries without a Rothschild-owned central bank here. And they've got China, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea on the list here. I don't know how true that is, but Adam is quite tends to have quite an interesting interesting. But I would like take caution, obviously, from people on social media. But he could be, I don't know how true it is, but I do sometimes find his tweets very fascinating indeed. But I wanted to share that with you guys nonetheless. Doesn't mean it's true, but you could take it on board as truth if you want to here, guys. So as you know, Marina Collier Machado, she at the moment, at the time of this, we don't know, obviously. Things can change at a dime with this Trump administration. And I think that context really matters here. So here she is implying, well, basically she's implying that she will give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize just to get power for Venezuela. This is how desperate she is here. So it says here, this is absolute nuts, corruption in plain sight. So after the Washington Post reported that Trump lost interest in backing Marina to leave Venezuela because she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize rather than demand it be given to Trump. Yeah, this is what she said.
Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him.
She is just as nasty. She is just as nasty. Yeah, and I look back and I think of this and I think, how the hell did she get the Nobel Peace Prize? When here she is saying this is just how desperate she is for power. Just how desperate she is to appease for power. Just as much as those who are in the current Venezuelan regime and the Maduro regime right now. It's insane. And who gets left out in all of this? The people. The people get left out in all of this. It's so insane. It's not related, but this story here, I'm not even going to play it. I'll just tell you what happened, basically. This woman here who was speaking in America, I can't remember where it was, but basically she was saying that American tax dollars shouldn't be used to fund this war, and basically calling out against this. Basically, she got arrested on live camera. She was handcuffed and taken away. She was later released without charge. This was all done on camera. I don't know why. But just one of the protesters basically venturing there frustration about what's happening. This is in America. This is not in Venezuela, by the way. So, yeah, I don't know what that's doing in this one, but, yeah, it's just absolutely insane here. Let me have a look at what some of you guys are saying in the chat, because there's quite a lot of you guys that haven't responded to them. No intel on Twitch has said a lot here. Make them rich, or they will put all US oil giants in charge of developing all the resources. Also, the big stuff is to F over Russia. The oil deal is the collar for Venezuela. It'd be funny in the future if they try to take their oil resources back, because the US will be like Honduras, that is against the international law to seize US private property. Also, don't trust the Israelis. They have a false flag in Mexico, but because they failed to put the whole world media in blackout, it was only printed out in local media. We don't trust Venezuela. To be fair, our community doesn't trust Israel anyway, to be fair, considering how much I've covered there. They also demanded the agents back from Mexico there. Thanks for sharing that, No Intel. Appreciate it. Remember what you guys are saying on YouTube. Me and my fiance tried to quit together once with patches. Example, when I hit the last step, I was still on step 1. 8 months later, I made it to step 2. So it's indeed duck. Jal says soon Americans standing with a blank sheet of paper will be arrested, just like in Russia. The very definition of a rob dog, said Andy there. Deeperus, I think that was you on Twitch. Yeah, I did read that. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Just stop smoking indie. Make this day one, says Porky. Okay, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Andy says religion is used by rich people on the poor and credulous. Absolutely. Rich people don't care about religion. They care about money and power. Yep. Counter Kev says, I was skeptical of Israeli connections listed by Reagan, but I'm sure I've heard Trump, Rubio, Miller, example referring to Hezbollah about Venezuela. Yeah, they did refer to it. They referred to it on American media, and that was the thing that threw me off. And I was like, what's Hezbollah? What's it like that? That's that Counter Kev, what you just said there. That's the thing that kind of threw me off. I was like, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, what's Hezbollah and what's the Middle East got to do with what's going on in Venezuela? But maybe there is a connection there that we just don't know about. That we're only just hearing about it now. The Ross Celia conspiracy theory. I have heard a dozen versions of it, says Jao. It's Sweden. We don't talk to neighbours, says Indie Duck. Oh, that's, you should try to. You should try to. You could dig a Bugs Bunny style burrow, says Andy there as well. Let me scroll down to see what new people in chat. Witchy Golf, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well, guys. Make sure you check out Witchy Golf's YouTube channel. Kick the USA out of NATO. I don't know if that's how do you kick? How you can't you can't kick them out of NATO. How do they do that? How do you do that when they're a permanent member? They're one of the founders of NATO. How do you kick the US out of NATO? I don't see how you can do that. I think NATO is doomed currently in the situation that we're in, Porky. I just don't think it's as simple as that. I just don't think that can work. I'm not sure how. Anyways, let's listen to Jeremy Corbyn speaking on this. He's saying the British government is spineless in response to the illegal invasion of Venezuela's disgrace. It's time for leaders who claim they believe in the international law to say whether Donald Trump, you're wrong. I will just say this. It seems like a lot of the British mainstream media are really trying to make it clear that Murado's a bad and evil person and all this kind of thing, when the focus should be on the breaching of international law. And the language that they've been using has been pretty terrible. I hope I get a chance to get to Owen Jones's video clip that he put up on Twitter, because I think that speaks a lot about, plays more into how biased the BBC is when it comes to certain coverage. Anyway, let's hear from Jeremy Corbyn and all of this, guys.
The US has set itself now up as being the arbiter of everything that goes on in the Western Hemisphere, giving itself the right to intervene in any country. It's done so in Venezuela, it's threatening Colombia, it's threatening Cuba, it's threatening Mexico. Where does this end? And in the Commons tonight, there was a very interesting lineup of MPs of all parties who said, actually, international law is important and comes first. The British government doesn't seem capable of simply agreeing with that simple statement.
Well, the British government has said in statements, and the Foreign Secretary as well, that international law is something the British government respects, but it is clearly not going to pass judgment. It's decided not to pass judgment on what the Americans have done. Does that not reflect the diplomatic reality of, A, what can the UK do at this point, and B, it needs to keep a decent relationship with the Trump administration, whatever you think of it?
Before even Jeremy responds, it shows that we are cowards, we are spineless, and we are secessions to the United States government, which is not right. We need to be standing up on our own 2 feet. And this Trump administration is always going to threaten us, and regardless of how much sucking up Keir Starmer does to the Trump administration, it makes no difference. They're always going to ask for more. They're always going to demand more. That is a reality. That is never going to change in any way, shape or form.
I think it reflects the totally spineless approach of the British government to international issues, particularly where the US is concerned. Countries all over the world, whether they particularly supported Maduro or in some cases didn't, are all saying this is a terrible day when international law is flouted by one very powerful country just going in and taking the lead of another. What would happen if
Can I just
that in another country?
did you talked about countries that didn't support Maduro? Did you support Maduro? Do you think he's...
By the way, this is what the British media have been doing to Jeremy Corbyn every single time he's been on the rounds of media. They keep questioning, do you support Maduro or not? When the topic of conversation is supposed to be about international law.
Still the legitimate leader?
I think he is certainly was legitimately chosen in the first place as the leader. I think there are...
Well, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
There are obviously questions, yes. I think we just need to recognise the dangerous situation and the incredibly dangerous precedent that's being set. If the Trump administration gets away with this, with no sanction whatsoever, they then do the same in Colombia, do the same in Cuba, threaten Mexico, we'll have no leg to stand on.
Those two countries, their leaders legitimately, democratically elected. This is different, isn't it? Maduro, and this was stressed in the Commons today by the Foreign Secretary, has not been recognised as the legitimate leader of Venezuela by the UK government for years because of stealing elections. I mean, do you accept that he stole elections?
Well, then why are we not doing this with other nations? Like, how many coups have there been in Africa? How many times have I commented on coups that have taken place in Africa the last several years, guys? You know, do we think that there's not because of changing in governments or coups being overthrown by military dictators in certain African countries? Do we not think that perhaps then so based on what you are saying here, the host is saying here, so basically, should it not be right that America and other Western leaders who are democratically elected, we should be allowed to intervene in their affairs because their leaders are not legitimately voted for? Can we not say the same thing about Myanmar, for example, when Myanmar's military junta overthrew a democratically elected leader and put them in jail and put that I can't remember her name respectfully, but she's been thrown in prison and she's still currently in prison while the country continues to rip itself apart over what happened there. Like, where do we draw the line? Oh, okay, so it's okay for Venezuela, but it's okay if we do it for Venezuela, but it's not okay if we do it for other countries. Like, where are we going with this? Like, it's just so fucking stupid. It is literally like they are trying to thread the tiniest and thinnest of needles to try and justify in some way, shape or form what they're doing here. In some way, shape or form. It's insane. Daily Blase, it is good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Make sure you guys check out Daily Blase's YouTube channel. He does some fantastic stuff on his channel, and he does a live stream every Friday at 5 o'clock called Friday Frolics. A fun, entertaining live stream that everybody needs a good laugh every now and then. Do join him for that show at 5 o'clock on his YouTube channel. There, it is good to see you, my friend.
The British government speaks with a forked tongue on this. They say they don't recognise the administration and they don't recognise Maduro. We still have an embassy in Caracas. There is a Venezuelan embassy in this country. They've done business with the Venezuelan government. They've had negotiations with them.
Isn't that just diplomatic reality?
Well,
You have to
maybe
deal
the
with that.
diplomatic reality is that there is a government in Venezuela that they have been dealing with.
So and this is a great point from Jeremy Corbyn here, that if you don't recognise the government, why are you negotiating with them? Why do you have an embassy there? Why are you still doing trade-ins? Why are you still doing discussions with them, with a president and a government that you don't agree with? Why are you still doing those discussions then? Why are you doing all of that in the first place?
Given how Donald Trump operates, do you not accept that if Britain did criticise him, as you would like it to do, I mean, there is a risk of blowback, diplomatic blowback?
Perhaps it's time for those countries that believe in international law or say they believe in international law to say to Donald Trump, listen, we believe in international law and you are wrong.
Yes, he is wrong. We all know he's wrong, but no one's going to stand up for it. Wonder if the anticipated drug would work on Nicorette, says Andy there. Pete's Music says, I stopped for over a year from heavy habit. Doing okay, but won't lie. A cold to go on the SIG 24/7 takes all my available willpower. I'm getting over habits can be very difficult, Pete. Really, honestly, well done for going as long as you have. Keep going, and feel free to discuss more about that on Friday with me and Wichigoff when we do our mental health live stream on Friday at 3 o'clock, guys. If you can join us for that, please do, and we can talk about all those things, guys. I know it's been rough. I know some people this week have been talking about difficult things, but feel free to unbottle a lot more of that stuff on Friday afternoon with myself and Wichigoff, guys, because we will read your comments and take it on board when we talk about mental health, because mental health and all that kind of stuff, guys. Do join us for that live stream if you can. Jao says, the fact is, regardless of who the victim is, the USA is a perpetration of crimes under the international law. The discussion stops here. Details are useless. Yeah, absolutely. Problem is, Donny is demented and Miller is the puppet master. I think there are a lot of puppet masters behind Donald Trump. I don't think it's just one person, but Miller is definitely one of them for sure. I don't know who have seen this clip, but this really does sum up quite a lot here. It's quite amazing when history comes back to bite you, doesn't it?
I'm not even going to play around anymore. It. Hit me with the works. Iraq, Venezuela, go!
We're giving them full opportunity to do it the easy way. And when it doesn't work, we'll do it the hard way.
If we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Chemical weapons is a threat to the United States.
Fentanyl poses a chemical weapons threat to the United States.
Al-Qaeda terrorists inside Iraq.
Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere.
We can get rid of Saddam. It could really begin to transform the region.
There's an opportunity to transform the entire region.
Bringing freedom and democracy.
Democracy and freedom
can serve as a
beacon of hope.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe indeed.
Unbelievable. The language on Iraq was literally the fucking same language as they was in the run-up to Venezuela. The exact same language. The only difference is they didn't go in, or they didn't actually go in there with full military war with Venezuela. But that video kind of speaks a lot about just how they do it. Here is the biggest, one of many evil snakes in humanity. Like, I still think Israel's foreign minister is more evil than Stephen Miller, but Stephen Miller is definitely a close second. Definitely a close second when I think of some of the most evil politicians on the planet here. So here he is on the 5th of January. Stephen Miller goes on a rant defending Trump's imperious aggression against Venezuela. We're a superpower, and we're going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. And Jake Tapper says, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. It's again like this is the kind of people who are in the Trump administration who are making decisions and have the power at their fingertips, guys.
The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower.
What the hell does that mean? Like, what is that supposed to mean? Someone explain to me how that works. So, you're a superpower. What does that mean? What does that mean exactly?
It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard.
Your own backyard. Okay, I have to stop there, right? South America belongs to Latin American nations. It does not belong to the United States of America. All those nations shouldn't belong to one nation. You can be a friend and an ally and supporter of those nations, but does not belong to you. It belongs to Brazil. It belongs to Colombia. It belongs to Venezuela. It belongs to Chile. It belongs to Argentina. It belongs to Uruguay, Bolivia. I'm sure I missed one or two South American countries. If I've missed them, please point them out to me. It belongs to those nations and their people. And are some of them dictators? Yes. Are some of them democratically elected? Yes. Does America have a right to get involved in their business? No, they fucking don't. But they do. And we know they do.
To become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us.
And what evidence do you have to suggest this? Okay? What evidence do you have to suggest this?
To hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States, rather than on behalf of the United States.
Oh, I didn't know Venezuela was building... Oh, are you telling... Oh, I didn't know Venezuela was building nuclear missiles to use against the United States of America. Oh, do tell. Oh, wait, they aren't doing that. And I just made that up, just like things that Stephen Miller does.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and
know,
engaging these
honestly,
vast
what you're talking about right
schemes,
now.
What? Does this man not even understand history? Does he not understand history? Does he not understand what happened before World War II, before World War I? Does this man not understand the context of it? Clearly he doesn't.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea, and by the way, you do, I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election. I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked. I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help.
Right, but should the people of Venezuela not be allowed to have a democratically elect the people that they want to see as their government? And you're not answering that question. That's because you don't care who is in charge as long as you control them. That's the problem. Exactly, Marina. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
And leadership, that country will become more prosperous than it has ever been in its whole history. Venezuelans
but the
will
woman
be richer
running Venezuela
and
right
safer
now is
and
part
more
of the Maduro
secure and
regime.
better off. There will be conversations, Jake, about all of these guideposts along the way. The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections to be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away.
That's not what he said! No one is saying that! You guys went in on Venezuela, took their leader. Yes, you can question about the legalities of his leadership, which I have explicitly stated here on this channel. I have done it on here, on Rumble, on my social medias. I've stated this, that he should not have been the legitimate president. We've already established this. Yeah, we've already established this here. Okay, we all established this here. right? But you guys decided to pressure Venezuela. You guys decided to target drug boats. You guys decided to launch the attack that you did. You guys decided to kidnap the leader of the president of Venezuela. Yeah, I'm not going to take the terms that the BBC and other mainstream media use the term captured. No, it was kidnapped. You set foot on a foreign country, stole a foreign leader, and made up your own bullshit charges when you brought them back to your country. That's what you did. Yeah? That is what you did. That is what happened. That is what we have seen. And you can smother this as much as you want, but you kidnapped a foreign leader. And because you did that, you give Russia and you give China carte blanche to do the same. Oh, well, why doesn't China go ahead and kidnap the Taiwan president? I'm sure America doesn't have a problem with that. Or what about if, by some miracle, Russia manages to kidnap Vladimir Zelensky, the Ukrainian president? Oh, let's say for an example, right? Let's say they kidnapped an European Union leader. Yeah? What if they kidnapped Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland, right? What would the reaction be from Europe and the rest and the free world, right? There'd be condemnation, there'd be outrage. Oh, right, it's because, but they're democratically elected, Regan. That's the difference. They've all been democratically elected. Like, do you see the straws that these fuckers are trying to pull at you?
No, vacuums,
that's not what I think. But you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tim Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country.
What are you talking about? Rapists now? Now he's saying they're rapists. This guy is insane. This guy is insane.
Send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries.
We know what it's really about, guys. We know what it's really about. But Stephen Miller is just kicking and screaming there. And I generally mean this. Like, I'm not a fan of CNN. I'm not a fan of Jake Tapper, like, because they're mainstream media. But my God, like, I can't stand Stephen Miller. I just can't stand the guy, and I don't know how anyone can stand up, can put up with that. Do says Andy. I know. So Miller knows rape is bad. Yeah, apparently he learnt that. He learnt that. He must have learnt that recently. I mean, wait until he finds out who the president of the United States is. You know, when he finds out, if he knew rape is bad. Wait till he finds out about the president of the United States, who's in the Epstein files. But don't tell Stephen Miller that. He'll get devastated then. Oh dear, don't tell him that. That'll be really, really bad. Oh dear. So how did Caroline Levitt take the questions from today's press conference? Well, let's find out, guys, because I'm sure she was perfectly reasonable with all her questions.
Thank you, Caroline. The president has been adamant that he is now in charge of Venezuela, but Delcy Rodriguez said the government of Venezuela runs her country, no one else, saying, quote, there's no external agent governing Venezuela. So which one is it?
Let me just be very clear. This is the first time that I've addressed Venezuela from the podium since being back and since the historic and incredibly successful military operation, law enforcement operation conducted by our United States military that you all saw and the world witnessed last week.
Yes, the most greatest historical thing that we ever saw. Yes, oh please do go on.
The skill, the might of the United States military and our country under the leadership of this president is on full display to the rest of the world. And let's just set the record straight.
Yes, absolutely, Jal. But the bigger question is, where is her necklace? That's the real question you should be asking.
There isn't another military in the world who could have pulled off this operation. There is not another president in the world or in our nation's history who had the courage to authorize such a mission.
Oh yes, the courage to do so, because it's not like he was under any kind of drugs or influence. It wasn't like he was pressured by his peers into something that he totally understands, because he clearly doesn't.
I think the world has taken notice that America is truly back. With respect to Venezuela, the Trump administration, led by Secretary Rubio, the vice president, and the president's entire national security team, is in close correspondence with the interim authorities in Venezuela. We obviously have maximum leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela right now.
Yeah, because that's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay for the United States government to have maximum leverage over the interim Venezuelan government. It's perfectly legitimate, guys. Perfectly democratically fine. Perfectly reasonable. Yeah, it's just like Russia. It's just like Russia is perfectly all right to have 100% leverage over the Belarusian government, having a hold over the Belarusian president there, where the people of Belarus have no say whatsoever in what goes on in their country, and that everything about Belarus and everything about them all must tie and bow down to Vladimir Putin and their Russian puppet and their Russian master. You know, let's be absolutely clear about that. But it's okay, guys. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like Russia and Belarus. It's the same thing, you know. But we're not supposed to make that comparison. But you don't want me to make that. They don't want me to make that comparison. But it's just like that, guys.
And the president has made it very clear that this is a country within the United States, the Western Hemisphere, close by the United States, that is no longer going to be sending illegal drugs to the United States of America. It's no longer going to be sending and trafficking illegal people and criminal cartels to kill American citizens as they have in the past.
Okay, sure. I mean, it's not like that they're still trying to smuggle stuff into Europe, Belarus as well, guys.
And the president is fully deploying his peace through strength foreign policy agenda. So we're continuing to be in close coordination with the interim authorities, and their decisions are going to continue to be dictated by the United States of America.
Yeah, because that's perfectly democratic, guys. Good evening to you too, Marina. Flonks, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well. Good evening, Billy Kershaw, as well. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. If I haven't said hello to you, I do apologize. Hope you guys are all doing well. I don't have CNN on my TV. Same goes for GBBs. Don't blame you, Porky. Don't blame you. Don't blame you at all. Portugal's great. Very windy, though. Venezuela won't send any drugs because they go from Colombia to Mexico. Yeah. Asked about troops on the ground.
Companies to invest billions in Venezuela. How will the
sitting in a prison?
Oh, sorry, one second.
Reassure that in order to get these oil companies to invest billions in Venezuela, how will the U.S. reassure that their workers will be safe in Venezuela? Could there be troops involved?
At this point in time, as you know, there are no troops on the ground in Venezuela. The president, of course, reserves the right to use the United States military if necessary. It's not something he wants to do. Diplomacy is always the first option, as you saw. He tried that with Nicolas Maduro, but unfortunately, he was an illegitimate dictator and an unserious person. And so President Trump...
Yeah, he was so unserious that Nicolas Maduro literally has said on camera multiple times that he's willing to cooperate with the United States of America. Multiple times he has said this. On camera! On camera he has said this, guys. Not willing... But apparently, according to the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, Nicolas Maduro never wanted to cooperate, guys. You know, must have been all those video footages of when he was talking to media and whatnot. Nicolas Maduro must have been it must have been fake news. It must have been AI imagery and whatnot, guys. When Nicolas Maduro made those multiple times and statements, even on camera, it must have been all fake news, guys. But Caroline Leavitt is definitely telling the truth here, guys.
Authorized this law enforcement operation, and now Nicolas Maduro is sitting in a prison cell in New York. So certainly the president is going to do what's in the best interests of the American people, and that includes workers from our energy and oil industry as well.
Yeah, because the president of the United States doesn't give a crap about the people of Venezuela. And by the way, just for reference here, you know, the question was on whether there'll be troops on the ground with regards to, you know, taking the oil from Venezuela, right? American troops are not going to go on the ground to protect the oil industries. No, what's going to happen is the oil companies, my assumption is that the oil companies will pay mercenaries to cover them if they do go in there. And also, of course, there's lots of it's not like they can just go in and set up shop. You know, there's loads of gangs, there's crime, there's a lot of problems in Venezuela. It's not like they can just go in and do it. It's not as simple as that. But they try to paint it as that. It's not.
30 to 50 million barrels of oil. How exactly is that going to work? You're getting it out of Venezuela into the United States?
Yes.
And then what?
That's exactly right. So as you know, Ed, as the president announced last night, this was the sanctioned oil that was basically just sitting in barrels, sitting on ships because of the effective quarantine of the United States of America.
Yeah, oil that belongs to the Venezuelan government. Belongs to them. It's in their lands. It's their oil. Just like the rest of their resources. Belongs to their country.
And the interim authorities have agreed to release that oil to the United States, so it will be arriving here at home very soon. The United States government has already begun marketing Venezuelan crude oil in the global marketplace for the benefit of the United States, engaged the world's leading commodity marketers, key banks to execute and provide financial support for these crude oil and crude product sales. All proceeds from the sale of Venezuelan crude oil and products will first settle in U.S.-controlled accounts at globally recognized banks to guarantee the legitimacy and integrity of the ultimate distribution of proceeds, and those funds will be dispersed for the benefit of the American people and the Venezuelan people at the discretion of the United States government.
Yeah, so basically you're stealing the resources. Essentially, you're stealing the resources, but they're just not going to put it that way. But yeah. And as Counter Kiev points out, and we've mentioned this before as well, it's not possible to refine crude oil in Venezuela, so US oil companies are unlikely to be interested. Yeah, but Donald Trump is trying to push, the Trump administration is trying to push them into it. But I am hearing conflicting reports that some media outlets are reporting that there is interest. I am hearing conflicting reports that there are some interest in it. I don't know how true that is. I think Breaking Points yesterday with Crystal and Saga, they did say that they did report that there was some interest from oil companies. Again, it's far too early to say that there definitely are, but you're absolutely right in saying that it's problematic. The oil, that is for sure. So Rick Scott here, Republican senator here, talking about let's go and fix some more countries, because it's perfectly legitimate for them to do that, and it's not like we need Congress's approval at this point, right?
So proud of what the president did, and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and everybody, our military, Maria Corina Machado, and what they did in Venezuela is going to change Latin America. This is the start of changing Venezuela. Then we're going to fix Cuba. Nicaragua will get fixed. Next year we'll get a new president in Colombia. We're going to start, the democracy is coming back to this hemisphere.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so you're going to fix Cuba. And how exactly are you going to fix Cuba exactly? You're going to go in there guns blazing? Are you going to try and take out the Cuban leader? Like, it's unfortunately for Senator Rick Scott, it's not like there's a lot of resources in Cuba. Like, they may do, they may not. I'm not entirely convinced on it as of right now. A lot of it's a lot of tough talk from the Trump administration. Remember, these guys are these people in power. They are very, very spineless when a gun is pointed at them. So they may maybe just be talking tough because obviously they did something really, really nasty. Night of the Living Dead, says Zhao. I remember that film. China wanted to make their position very clear on the whole situation as well.
The United States has brazenly resorted to the use of force against Venezuela and demanded that America First be applied when Venezuela disposes of its own oil resources. This is a typical act of bullying, a serious violation of international law, and a grave infringement on Venezuela's sovereignty that also severely undermines the rights of Venezuelan people.
Yeah, it's not like China have been bullying Taiwan, guys. It's not like China have been bullying the Philippines in the South China Sea as well. It's not like I haven't covered that on this channel as well. It's just, China would never bully other countries. It doesn't bully other nations, guys. China would never do such a thing, would it? China's never done any of that, guys. It's not like I've covered several different short videos of Philippine boats being water tanked or clashing with Chinese boats in the China Sea, where the sea rightfully belongs to the Philippines. There, it's not like they've been doing lots of exercise drills around Taiwan, guys. I mean, China's a good people, aren't they?
China strongly condemns this. I would like to stress that the legitimate rights and interests of China and other countries in Venezuela must be protected. The United States has long imposed illegal unilateral sanctions on Venezuela's oil sector and has recently brazenly used force against Venezuela, dealing a severe blow to the country's economic and social order and also threatening the stability of global production and supply chains. China has already issued strong condemnation in this regard. I would like to reiterate that cooperation between China and Venezuela is a cooperation between sovereign states and is protected by international law and laws of both countries.
I should point out I was being sarcastic just for reference if people didn't understand. I was being sarcastic about China. They're not good people, okay? Are there any good guys left? Yes, the new mayor of New York City, Zoran Mandami, and Zach Polanski, the leader of the Green Party. There are plenty of other good politicians and activists in the world. We just there are plenty of them out there. They really, really are. I think it's really important for people to know that. There. Are China the good guys now? No, they're not. They're not. I just want to make that clear. It's not just the largest natural oil reserves on the planet, it's also the gold, silver, and rare earth minerals. Funny you say that, Mr. E. We're going to cover that in a bit. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. Yeah, it definitely feels very Borgish. The Borg, isn't it? Yeah, the Borg. Assimilating literally everything, isn't it? Gold isn't much use. Gold isn't much use, Andy. Gold is the biggest... Gold is worth so much right now on the stock markets. Gold, the value of gold has skyrocketed. It's worth a lot. Gold is very, very expensive right now. The value of gold is very much wanted by a lot of people there. Very much indeed. Speaking of where is it? Speaking of Greenland, I'll come to Greenland actually in a moment. I wanted to share is it this one here. This clip here kind of sums up America pretty well. I thought this clip here was very, very good.
When America tries to say this person, that person is a dictator, that person is a dictator, the first question you ask is,
hold on, let me just...
When America tries to say this person, that person is a dictator, that person is a dictator, the first question you need to ask is, what is it that country has that America needs? That's the first question you'd ask them. America is the biggest oil junkie in the world. Okay. America owes so many countries money. It's insane. It's really insane. So whenever she's talking about other countries and saying these are terrorists, see, you go to another nation that didn't invite you. Right. You try to have negotiations and tell them, listen, give us your oil, diamonds, etc. We'll have some negotiations. And they say, well, no, we don't want you to have that. You go to another one. And America says, oh, okay, cool. So America leaves, and what do? They send in agents through the CIA. They assassinate the leadership after they use the media in that country to turn the people against the leader of that country. Then it's called a coup. They assassinate the leader, and they prop up someone who was a CIA agent who they have trained to be the new person to run for the leadership of that country, put him in place, and then they have free access to the wealth that they already were trying to get in the first place. This is called a coup. America's been doing it for a very long time. They have murdered and assassinated leaders all across the planet. America is a gangster, brother. I mean, a real one. They feel like money is their God. They'll say God with their mouth, but they'll show God with their money. God meaning G-O-D, gold, oil, and drugs. Okay? That's their God. Gold, oil, and drugs. That's their God.
Gold, oil, drugs. That is their God. Remember that, guys. That's what God stands for in the Trump administration, for the rich and the wealthy and the powerful in there. God stands for gold, oil, and drugs. There it is, guys. And there. So remember that. Remember that, guys. Remember that, guys. The next time they talk about God, that's what they mean when they talk about God. Didn't see that one coming, did ya? It's amazing you know, the power. This is where, you know, X really does. This is why X can be very, very helpful. I understand why people don't have it, but it's clips like those you come across which really open your eyes to things that you just don't know. I give you Zelensky, says Porky there. It's not just the oil, it's so that the Tangerine Queen can turn the oil on and off for China, so China has no oil for them as well. Zhao says the CIA bought and financed drug gangs in black towns to control them, and that is documented, says Zhao. Of course, absolutely, that does not surprise me one bit. Thank you for sharing that, Zhao. Yeah, it's really important to add to that. Andy also says it's coming to a point where China's best battery tech in the world doesn't need the oil. It's going to be interesting when everyone else has decent battery tech and the oil becomes worthless. Yeah. What is going to happen when that happens? MAGA's reaction will be very interesting. A load of dead American soldiers are repatriated if they invade other countries. Well, it's mixed, actually, Daily Blase. There are some MAGAs who are not happy with it, and there are others who are just playing by it to appease Donald Trump and them, to appease Donald Trump and their masters. So there is that side of it as well. Let's touch on Greenland, guys, because I do want to touch on Greenland here. So some Danes had got the opportunity to talk about it there. So let's hear from a couple of Danish people about, you know, the idea of Donald Trump once again talking about taking Greenland. Your mic level is a little high. Leapskin, are you? Is it just you? Let me check the mic level here. Let me have a look. Not that one. I'll do 150. See how that is there. All right. Anyway, let's listen to some Danish here. It is a bit loud. I've dropped it to 150, so hopefully it's a bit better. If the mic is too high or too low, do let me know.
Trump just wanting to take over Greenland is absurd. Yeah, it's just madness. I think we have a big responsibility to push back and to let him know that this is not something that he can just own, he can just possess.
I think that it's terrible that he keeps on threatening about invading Greenland as it's a part of Denmark and it's his own country. So I don't think the US has anything to do with that.
I think it's crazy. I think it's something that just seems totally unreasonable from the US side, and I'm not sure why they think that they can just start going around and buying other people's land from them or taking other people's land.
Yep, that is a good question. Why do they think they can do that? Now I want to go and visit Denmark. I want to visit Denmark too. Problem is it's expensive. I'm not going to play this one, but basically Germany and lots of other countries criticising the taking of Greenland there. Jason Miller defends Trump's Greenland's interest as a serious geopolitical strategy, not an imperialist fantasy, is what they're claiming here. Bear in mind, this is GB News, so that does say a lot about them.
Is President Trump going to invade Greenland?
No, I think what this is the mainstream media trying to distract away from the fact that President Trump brought to justice a narco-terrorist in Nicolas Maduro, and that he's going to actually restore democracy to the people of Venezuela. And
yeah, what better way to restore democracy to the people of Venezuela than by forcing the Maduro administration to hold elections? Oh wait, they haven't done that, guys.
So the whole thing on the Greenland front, I mean, Greenland should be a territory area that's controlled by the United States. I think the U.S. could do a much better job of maximizing that area, especially with those shipping lanes opening up and the Russians and the Chinese pushing their military into the Arctic Circle and that part of the world.
I think it's worth pointing out for those who don't know a lot about Greenland. Greenland has US bases on it, and over the last several years, the United States of America, under the Biden administration, have reduced their military numbers in Greenland. When they're talking consistently about the threat that China and Russia poses to Greenland, what has Trump increased military presence on Greenland at the start since then? As far as I'm aware, no. You know, Donald Trump has consistently talked about taking Greenland and we need Greenland. Well, as last I heard, the troop numbers are still pretty low at the American bases that they have on the island. And by the way, someone tried to claim that China and Russia have military bases on Greenland. That is false. There is no evidence to suggest otherwise, by the way.
But no, there's not going to be an invasion of Greenland. That's just a silly distraction.
So Katie Miller, wife of Stephen Miller, no relation to you, Jason Miller, just to be clear. Was she right to post that tweet? Was it just having a bit of fun and it's been taken and blown out of all proportion?
No, she should not have tweeted it, because all you did is terrorise the Danes, terrorise the Green Atlantic people, and given the impression that Donald Trump is going to take that land by force. You shouldn't be installing fear into the minds of people.
I think she's having a little bit of fun, and by the way, I can't throw any stones at putting some hot takes on.
Do you think this is funny to play with people, play with a nation, to play with people's minds. Like, this is not funny for the Green Atlantic people. It's not funny for them. I always say on my channel I try to one of the founding things for me, my principles, is always try to put yourself in other people's shoes to try and understand some people. This guy's an idiot. Okay, the guy talking is an idiot. Okay, look at it from their perspective. Yeah, from their perspective, the Green Atlantic people, the Green Atlantic people's perspective. They're being told here that they're going to be put under US banner whether they like it or not. It's just not right in any way, shape, or form. Good evening, Alistair Keir. Good to see you there, my friend. Hope you're doing well. No worries, my friend. I appreciate you popping in nonetheless, my friend.
Social media. I've done it plenty of times myself. In fact, I did a couple times in the last 24, 48 hours. But no, I think Katie was just making the broader point that the United States should be controlling Greenland, that the world would be a much safer and better place. And I think the U.S., quite frankly, could do a much better job than Denmark. And Denmark is a great country and they're strong allies. But let's keep the focus where it is, and that's that President Trump is making the world a safer place.
Yeah, Donald Trump is definitely making the world a safer place. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's definitely doing that, guys. Definitely doing that by doing what he did with Venezuela. Definitely did, right? Just absolutely ridiculous.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place.
Yeah, it's funny, Mr. President, that we don't actually see a lot of that evidence. We hear a lot. We hear a lot of talking, but not a lot of evidence. I suppose maybe if you provide some graphs and showing all the submarines and all the battleships and aircraft carriers that Russia and China have all around Greenland, I'm sure it'll be absolutely terrifying to see. Oh wait, guys, I just realised, because obviously Donald Trump is not aware of this, a lot of Russia's navy got hammered in the Black Sea by Ukraine. Oh, yeah, because of some of the drone tactics that they've been doing there. Oh, what a shame. Oh, it's almost as if that Donnie's making stuff up again. Oh, yeah. I don't know about the China thing, but Russia one, yeah, I'm not going to buy that.
We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's right. You need Greenland from a national security perspective. You need it for so much so, guys, that they reduce the troop numbers on the military bases there that they own. That's how much it is. And by the way, I think that this context also matters as well. On multiple occasions, yeah, Denmark have made it clear. The Kingdom of Denmark have made it clear that they can actually extract resources from Greenland. America has permission to do that. They actually have permission to do that. Same thing that you are here, that Nicholas Morado was makingly saying about Venezuela, about America, wanting to work and cooperate with America on resources and all that kind of stuff. The same thing Denmark is saying to yeah, you guys can come here. Yeah, you can have your military bases here because you're a NATO ally and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, of course you can acquire some resources. Like, that's what Denmark has literally said that. But it doesn't matter. To them, it doesn't matter. To him, it doesn't matter.
Reports that the U.S. could potentially buy Greenland as one potential option on the table.
How exactly would the United States is in massive amounts of debt? How exactly would the United States buy Greenland exactly? Would they take out a loan? Is that their way of doing it?
An offer look like? Is there anything monetarily you could provide? Any details there?
Well, that's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team. And I would point out that the acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like.
Yeah, because Denmark and Greenland would definitely allow themselves to be sold to the United States of America. Surely will. John Bolton here with a simple one here.
Care if NATO breaks up. I think for many in the Trump administration, taking Greenland and breaking up NATO would be what we call a twofer, two for the price of one.
I hope he's wrong about that, but again, I'm not sure. Elon will lead the Tangerine Queen a few quid, says Flonks there. As soon as the Sepos do anything at all, the civilized nations should dump their stock of US debt. Yep, they should do. They should do. I think, yeah, that's something that the Europe can hold over America if they try to touch them. That's what they should say to him privately. That's what they should say to Donald Trump privately, and say to America privately. We'll dump all your stock. We'll dump all your stock. What's going to happen if we dump all your stock? I'll come back to that one in a minute. Where is it? There was here it is. One of the bravest here, Australia's NATO Enlargement Committee chairman, announced that if the US annex Greenland, we must confiscate all of US bases in Europe. If you take Greenland, you have to leave. You go extreme, we go extreme. I mean, I don't know the rest of Europe will follow what he's saying, but I'm glad he actually stood up here.
If you take it, we take every single base of the Americans from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller. This is the leverage we have. You need these bases for global power projection. You won't have it. And we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US troops in Europe, without the American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we run your boys home into Chicago and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it.
I wish this was a top leader saying this, but it's nice to hear someone basically telling America, yeah, you try take Greenland and see what the consequences will be. I mean, I'd love to think that they will do this, but I don't know if the leaders would be strong enough to do this, though. I don't know if they would be strong enough to do this. That's the only thing, guys. I do. I wanted to add a bit of laughter here to all this because we needed a bit of laughter here. Amy Kobashar says, "What is the difference between Greenland and Donald Trump? Greenland is not for sale." This is really funny, guys. I know you guys will get a bit of a laugh out of this, and we need a bit of a laugh in this terrible crisis here.
Speaking of Greenland, there's a question for you that I want to pose. What is the difference between Greenland and Donald Trump? Greenland is not for sale. Okay? For any Republican Trump administration person out there that want to throw eggs at me as a result of that joke, you can't because they're too expensive.
What's the price of eggs now in America? Can someone give me let me know what the cost of eggs in America is now? Anyone want to tell me? Yeah. Mr. E says central banks are dumping the dollar and trying to acquire gold. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. E. Appreciate that. So that explains, and that's another explanation because, yeah, gold is something that's, you know, what's the word I can use? Like, it's not gold is not I don't know if gold is a form of currency, isn't it? But you can sell it for any currency. Like it's a form that no matter how destabilized parts of the world will be, if you have gold, you're going to be okay. However bad things get out there. We're not ruling out taking Greenland by military force. I'm not going to play this one. I don't think it's worth putting up with Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio for 4 minutes and 47 seconds. You guys deserve better than that. I will put up this one, though, because I do think this is an interesting one. I know it's Rory Stewart. And I don't like him, too, because he's a fucking dickhead for attacking Zach Polanski for no reason whatsoever when he couldn't get his own eggs in one basket. However, I do think he's got some valid points here when it comes to debunking Trump's case for seizing Greenland in a couple of steps here.
If I'm right that Trump is moving towards taking Greenland, we will hear these lines again and again and again, and we need to start challenging them. And one fundamental line is Greenland is absolutely essential to the security of NATO because, Russia can use the Arctic, and therefore the United States obviously has to make Greenland part of the United States. Now, there's a number of claims there. Number one, this isn't an administration that actually behaves as though Russia is an existential threat. If they really believed Russia was an existential threat, they'd be doing different things in Ukraine. In fact, it's an administration that keeps assuring us that Putin has perfectly reasonable demands in Ukraine. If you just gave him Eastern Ukraine, he's not going to cause any trouble to anyone anyway. So how does that stack with we need Greenland because Russia is an existential threat? Number two, there is no limit, basically, to the number of troops that the United States could keep in Greenland. Mm-hmm. They have actually radically reduced the number of their troops in Greenland. There's no reason for them to own Greenland if what they're saying is this is vital to NATO's security. The only conclusion is they need US troops there, but they've decided not to put US troops there, despite the fact that Denmark is happy for them to keep troops there. The more dramatic thing is that Trump doesn't even really bother that much with legal arguments. No. That there's not even the hypocritical stuff that gunboat diplomacy in the 19th century did. When Britain was going around doing terrible things and taking other people's territory, they were always pretending they were doing it for a good reason. They were dealing with the slave trade or they were dealing with some human rights abuse. Trump is almost the first person since Genghis Khan to say, I'm just going to help myself to territory. I'm not even going to pretend actually this ever belonged to the United States. But instead, to quote Stephen Miller, the US should have Greenland.
The word he and others have been using, I've noticed, I think Vance used this word as well, when they were questioned about, is this legal? And they talked about, well, we can sit here and talk about international niceties, okay? And so the nicety is the idea that there is such a thing as a sovereign nation. As Stephen Miller said, it's a very small population, but it's a country, it's a people, it's a culture, it's a history.
I think that's very great points from both of them there with regards to this as well. And I thought that was worth sharing. Even though I don't listen to as much as the rest of politics as much as I used to, there are times where they do have some interesting points that are worth hearing out from them there. Republican Senator Eric Schmitz says he wants the US to acquire Greenland for defense and rare minerals, and says Denmark's claims is nebulous. This is another Republican sucking up to the MAGA base and Trump administration there, and we've already heard that point there. So pretty much tooth to nail there on Greenland there. I don't know whether or not they're going to or not, but time will tell whether or not. Whether or not it's going to happen. I've said this before. It's I think at the moment the chances of them doing it now is probably unlikely. They may do it in the future, later this year, possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. But Indy Duck is reminding us of the polar bears on Greenland. I don't think the polar bears would take too kindly to the US soldiers pushing over them as well. I think that's a very good point there. Someone please point out England's history in India. Absolutely. People forget the atrocities that Winston Churchill caused, for example, in India. During World War II, millions of Indians starved to death because we took food away. We took food away from them to feed Britons in that time of needly war there. People will forget about that as well. That's very, among other things as well, of course, the destruction and devastation that the British Empire caused in India. It's just one of many atrocities that the British Empire have caused and have not paid reprimands for that as well. Wow, we managed to cover, I think we covered most things here. I guess this, we've covered those videos in the Good Morning Show, but I think this is a good video to come to before we head out. I was going to cover a bit of UK, but I think we should go to this interesting one here, another one here, just to kind of reinforce the message about Venezuela here. And I don't know what film this is from. If someone can tell me where, please let me know in the comments if they can tell me. But I think this is quite powerful here, if this even is a film.
What would you assume is the most major threat on the world stage? Anybody, just call it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
Definitely Russia.
Definitely Russia. That's confident. I like it. Who says Russia? Anybody agree with her? Hands? Okay, great. Who else?
China.
Stop yelling at me, but China is a good answer. Anybody? Who else? China?
North Korea?
North Korea. Any North Korea takers? And Venezuela? Anybody? No? Oh, yeah. One guy in the back. A little worried about Venezuela. Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay, what about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst of one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history? Let's meet President Nicolas Reyes. After rising to power on a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Luckily for the rest of us, he's up for re-election. So, who's running against him? This is Gloria Bonalde. Now, Gloria is a history professor turned activist. She's running against him on a social justice platform and on the strength of, in my humble opinion, just not being an asshole. Analyst predictions, as of today, have the chances of Venezuela's total economic collapse at 87%. On the news, they'll call it a crisis. But on the world stage, they'll call it a failed state. If you've never heard that term, other examples of a failed state in recent history are Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. And if that's not bad enough news for you, well, Venezuela is also the only one of these places within 30-minute range from the U.S. of next-gen nuclear missiles. You will not hear about any of this on the news because the biggest players on the world stage do not want you to. To them, unstable governments are nothing more than the greatest of opportunities. So, Russia, China, can never be the most major threat until countries like Venezuela leave the door open to our very own backyard.
Now, obviously, I think, who is it? Jack Ryan films, says Ellie there. Is that, does anyone know what film that is from? Or movie, if somebody knows? Do let me know, because, sorry, I'm just recharging my Twitch chat here. Note to self, use anti-tippers if going to shoot a gun, says Indie Duck. The Prussians fought for us, yeah. Treacherous American rebellions was a French Crown operation. As China begins to get more and more powerful, resources become more and more desperate. And if China, Venezuela has the resources of those levels that they are claiming, it makes sense for America's strategic superpower point of view. But it's not right on the moral point of view. It's not right on the democratic point of view, because you are subverting a country and taking all of its resources for yourselves. It's not right to do so. So, use the third richest country. Used to be the third richest country on earth, says Mr. E. Tom Clancy something, says Andy. It speaks, although the leaders obviously aren't real in that film, but I'm pretty sure when I was looking at that clip, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, there was a CIA badge in the background. These guys were trained to be CIA officers. That says a lot as well. It says a lot. I thought that was definitely worth that clip there was definitely worth sharing with you guys for sure. I think it definitely was. So I wanted to show this. I know we're over time, guys, but I do want to show you this here with regards to Greenland and Venezuela as well, because this one from Owen Jones, because he points out the bollocks with the BBC here, the BBC bias here. I mentioned it at the start of the live stream, but I wanted to point it out here as well here. Listen very carefully to the language that the BBC use here. And Owen Jones will point it out as well, but you just notice these little things, and this is why you can't trust the mainstream media or when they tell you things.
Good morning, 6 o'clock. Welcome to Breakfast with Sally Nugent and John Kay.
Our headlines for you today. Using the American military to acquire Greenland, the White House says it's one of the options President Trump and his team are discussing.
If you're wondering what that noise is, it's a howl of pain emanating from the grave of George Orwell. Using the American military to acquire Greenland. Acquire. Is there any other word in the English language that might be, I don't know, maybe a bit more appropriate? I mean, there are, after all, around 170,000 words in current use in English. It's not like there's a lack of options here. A little thought experiment for you. Imagine a story was about Russia talking about Latvia. Would the BBC say, using the Russian military to acquire Latvia? Can you imagine? Do any of you think for a moment that would happen? Now, we all know what they would say. They would correctly say, by the way, that Russia is threatening to invade Latvia and annex it. That's what they'd say. They would foreground the fact that this would be an act of armed aggression, an illegal act of armed aggression at that. Note the text as well. They're using, on their on-screen banner, US Greenland plans. Euphemistic doesn't even begin to describe it. They're talking about it like, I don't know, government plans for transport or education. Use plans for things like going on holiday, spending time with friends and loved ones at the weekend. To emphasize again, we are talking about the US illegally invading territory in an act of aggression. Would the BBC have as their on-screen banner Russia-Latvia plans? I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it is ridiculous. If Russia was talking about invading and annexing Latvia, I know they wouldn't. You know they wouldn't. And what's more, BBC journalists and their editors know they wouldn't.
Very well said from Owen Jones. I thought that was well worth, that context was well worth adding there as well. Yeah, to emphasise just how messed up things are. Shall we take the piss out of Liz Truss, actually? Yeah, let's take the piss out of Liz Truss here. I think this is worth here. Well, I do have one proper funny video to see ourselves out because we are coming near to the end. But here's Liz Truss here, guys. Implausible blog. I do like you here. He's got this lettuce on the right here. 2026. Britain is run by a cabal of technocrats determined to run the country down while feathering their own nests. And in 2022, Liz Truss, Prime Minister, running the cabal of technocrats now running the country down while feathering her own nest.
Britain is run by a cabal of technocrats, determined to run the country down whilst feathering their own nests. They work hand in hand with establishment politicians, corporatists and the media. Until their lock on power is broken, this country is in a downward spiral.
I am sorry and that I have made mistakes. I am a fighter and not a quitter. In the national interest, Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter.
Is that AI? It's not AI. No, she's actually said those things. She's actually say those things there. She has actually said those things, believe it or not. I think this is this is definitely worth sharing with you guys as well. Then we talk about religion being used as a weapon of war on this channel as well. This is another great example of it. I'm going to finish up with this video before we head out to our final video, which is a funny one to see ourselves out here.
Watch this Muslim professor take down 2 CNN hosts.
Does Islam promote violence?
Islam doesn't promote violence or peace. Islam is just a religion, and like every religion in the world, it depends on what you bring to it. If you're a violent person, your Islam, your Judaism, your Christianity, your Hinduism is going to be violent. There are marauding Buddhist monks in Myanmar slaughtering women and children. Does Buddhism promote violence? Of course not. People are violent or peaceful, and that depends on their politics, their social world.
In Saudi Arabia, when women can't vote and they can't drive and they need permission from their husband, that's not extremists.
I mean, again, this is the problem, is that you're talking about a religion of 1.5 billion people, and certainly it becomes very easy to just simply paint them all with a single brush by saying, well, in Saudi Arabia, they can't drive, and so therefore, that's somehow representative of Islam. It's representative of Saudi Arabia.
Be honest, though, for the most part, it is not a free and open society for women.
It certainly is in Indonesia and Malaysia. It certainly is in Bangladesh. It certainly is in Turkey. Do you know that Muslims have elected 7 women as their heads of states? in those Muslim majority countries. How many women
But it is
do we
not,
have
but for the most part, Reza,
Hold on a second, Reza, because he says it's a Muslim country problem. He says that in Somalia.
Yeah, but and that's actually empirically, factually incorrect. It's a Central African problem. Eritrea has almost 90% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country. Ethiopia has 75% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country.
Great comebacks when it comes to using religion, or in particular on attacking Islam there. A man who knows his stuff. Very, very good. Very, very good indeed. I thought that was worth sharing with you guys. So to see ourselves... Oh, should I share that one? Oh, should I share that one? Oh, I should share those ones. Yeah, I'm not monetized anyway, so I should share these just for lols. Yeah, I should share these just for lols. Here's Stephen Colbert taking the piss out of Donald Trump here. Fuck it. Let's share this one before I go to the final one.
Trump's invasion of Venezuela on Saturday threw off my plans for what I really wanted to talk about this week, which, of course, is how this year's Kennedy Center Honors drew an all-time low viewership on CBS with host Donald Trump.
Oh, no. Terrible. Terrible, guys. Oh, that's terrible.
Nobody saw that coming. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Nobody saw that. The president managed to draw only 3 million viewers on CBS. Now, it is beneath me to gloat. But if it weren't beneath me, I'd call him no talent, low-rated Donald Trump.
I don't think I can argue that, you know. Don't think I can argue that. What do you guys think? You think you can argue that?
I see why he says that. That felt good. Then again, maybe we should cut the guy some slack. After all, it was just his first year hosting. As a former Kennedy Center host myself, I know it can take a while to build an audience. What were my ratings my first year? 9.25 million. What? Huh? 9.25.
Wow.
Huh, what do you know? 3 times as many. And I didn't even name the building after myself. What's that? You're telling me I actually knew that? Because I asked my research to get me that information this morning so I could do this thing and pretend like I didn't know? Well, you learn something new every day. Trump's terrible numbers hurt more when you remember that he predicted it would be the highest rated show they have ever done. Well, that's about as far off as a prediction could possibly be. Next to Amelia Earhart's famous words, one thing's for sure, I ain't getting lost.
And finally, before we just one last video, guys. Last video. The new president of Venezuela has been elected. Please welcome El Don Ranio Trumpio, guys. And this is definitely an AI video, but yes, this is the legitimate quote unquote new president of Venezuela.
Hola amigos, yo soy su nuevo presidente, el señor Donaldo J. Trumpo. Your ex-presidente, el señor Maduro, is no longer your presidente. He kept talking shit, you know, and fucking around, though, and he ultimately found out, though. Anyway, we're going to make Venezuela grande again. Mucho grande. El bigger y el better than ever before. We're going to drill, baby drill. We're going to have a big, beautiful fiesta, all the tacos you want. Mucho mariachi, sexy mamacitas, and delicious margaritas. And President Trumpo is going to be el DJ, okay? Muchas gracias, muchachos. Y let's make el Venezuela grande again. Arriba el Venezuela, amigos.
No, it's not legit. It's an AI video, guys. I just wanted to build it up to it. But this is one of the greatest AI videos. Oh, you've gotta have a bit of laughter, guys, because if you don't, remember, guys, if you don't have laughter, all you're gonna end up doing is just crying a lot. That's the truth. You're just gonna cry a lot if all you're gonna do is that, guys. Ah, dear, oh dear. Trump is the height of Godzilla. How dare you insult Godzilla? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Guys, before you head out, if you guys want to financially support me while I'm currently demonetized, the best way you can do so is by buying me a coffee or joining my Patreon. Links for both down below. If you guys do, please do. It would be very much appreciated, no matter how small small it is. It really does help me while I'm in this financial situation currently, and I don't know when I'm going to get remonetized or if I'm going to get monetized again at all. But if you want to financially support me, please join either Patreon or buy me a coffee. Links are down below. And what happens is when you do one of those two options, your name will get added to the Good Morning live stream on the list below for those who have supported me. And we already have some wonderful people who have done that since I got demonetized, and I am going to keep fighting the case to get back on. However, obviously I don't know when that's going to be, guys. But in the meantime, if you guys want to help support me financially, that's the best way to do so. If you can't support me in a financial manner, one of the best things you guys can do, as always, is hitting that like button, sharing across social media, subscribing, leaving comments down below on my videos. All that stuff really does help support and boost the algorithm here. They also have a Discord community that you can join as well, which is free to join as well. Link for that is in the description. And you can also find me on Rumble and Patreon, where I do extra content exclusively on both those platforms as well. So if you want to check out the content on them, you can do so as well. And you can find me across different social medias and links down below as well. I want to say thank you to everyone who came along tonight. Thank you guys for all your comments. Lots of people came out for this live stream tonight, and I really appreciate it. I hope you guys will join me tomorrow evening for my chat with Van Man Talks. If you can't make tomorrow evening, do join me tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for another Good Morning show, where I'll give the usual daily quota, the weather report, and what's going on in the not in the papers, but in the news. Yeah, so if you want to join me for that morning show at 11 a.m, feel free to join me there. Excuse me. But if not, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care as always, and thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very soon.